Hi, welcome to TheFederal. The FIFA World Cup has now entered the final phase with only 5 or 6 matches remaining. As the battle for the trophy intensifies on the pitch, another contest is unfolding off it. This is not a story about goals, tactics, or title defense. It is about the politics that has come to surround this World Cup and how those global fault lines are finding an echo in Kerala's football culture. Football has never existed in political vacuum. Every World Cup carries far more than goals, trophies, and celebrations. It carries the anxieties, conflicts, and aspirations of the world outside the stadium. For decades, we have said football is the world's biggest sport, but perhaps it is more accurate to say it is the world's biggest political mirror. This FIFA World Cup is not different. This World Cup has unfolded under the shadow of the war in West Asia, the attack on Gaza, the humanitarian catastrophe that followed, and the growing polarization of global politics. Football could not remain untouched. Then came Donald Trump. His repeated interventions and public comments on the tournament, even over refereeing decisions, added another layer of controversy. Once again, football found itself sharing the headlines with geopolitics. But what has surprised many is not that politics entered football, it is how deeply it has entered Kerala. Because Kerala does not merely watch the World Cup, Kerala lives the World Cup. For nearly 4 decades, every World Cup has transformed the state into a month-long carnival. Giant cutouts appear overnight. Roads become rivers of blue, yellow, and now even red. Don't get confused, the red of Portugal and Spain. Villages compete to erect longest hoardings. Families are divided between Argentina and Brazil. Friendships survive endless banter. Ever since Diego Maradona captured Kerala's imagination in the late 80s, Argentina has been more than just another football team. For many on the left, Maradona represented defiance against established powers. His admiration for Fidel Castro and Che Guevara and his criticism of Western power structures gave him an image that resonated deeply in Kerala's political imagination. Brazil symbolized footballing beauty. Argentina symbolized rebellion. Later, Cristiano Ronaldo created a massive following for Portugal. European club football expanded the fan universe even further. Today, Premier League and La Liga loyalties are almost as passionate as World Cup rivalries. But there has always been one reassuring feature. What makes Kerala unique is that football fandom has always cut across ideological and religious lines. Argentina and Brazil have supporters in the left, the Congress, the IUML, BJP, among Christians, Muslims, Hindus, and people with no political or religious affiliation whatsoever. That has always been the beauty of Kerala's football culture. That diversity was football's greatest strength. But this World Cup feels different. The shift became evident after the Argentina-Egypt match. Almost overnight, the conversation changed. Football was no longer the central theme. Social media timelines were filled with political arguments instead of tactical analysis. Supporters of Argentina found themselves being labeled Zionist apologists. The debate had very little to do with Lionel Messi, Argentina's style of play, or even the match itself. It had become part of a much larger geopolitical conversation. The Argentina-Egypt match became the trigger. Whether one believed the refereeing decisions were correct or incorrect almost became secondary. The match quickly escaped the confines of football. Around the world, the debate quickly expanded beyond the game, merging with wider questions of international politics, the role of FIFA, and the global power dynamics. Donald Trump's repeated interventions served only to inflame tensions, adding another layer of controversy to an already polarized World Cup. Kerala absorbed these conversations almost instantly. WhatsApp groups became ideological battlegrounds. Football pages turned into political pages. Instagram reels mixed match clips with messages on Palestine, Zionism, imperialism, and global geopolitics. Football was no longer being debated in isolation. Even politicians found themselves drawn into the conversation. Former minister and CPM leader MP Rajesh, an unapologetic Argentina supporter, publicly remarked that many Argentina fans, including him, were uncomfortable with what happened in that match. His comments reflected how impossible it had become to separate football from the larger political debate. Another striking feature of this World Cup has been a fresh narrative from sections of the Hindutva ecosystem. Suddenly, terms like football jihad entered the conversation. So did claims that football is being Islamized. Support from certain teams or even expressions of solidarity with Palestine began to be portrayed as evidence of organized religious mobilization rather than football fandom or political opinion. Videos of Muslim players offering sujood after victories were repeatedly shared as proof of this alleged Islamization. But why is the same standard not applied to everyone? Footballers making the sign of the cross or pointing to the heavens after scoring have been part of the sport for decades. Those gestures have long been accepted as normal. It is this selective reading of religious expression that makes the football jihad narrative divisive, not sporting. This is a significant shift. Interestingly, both sides ended up making the same mistake. While one side found football jihad in the game, the other began calling certain teams Zionist, judging them through the politics of its current government. But a football team is not a government, and a country's people cannot be reduced to the ideology of those in power. In every nation, there are ordinary citizens who stand for justice and humanity, often in opposition to their own governments. Football has always been about people. The moment we begin treating teams as geopolitical proxies, we lose sight of that. For decades, Kerala's football culture has thrived precisely because it transcended religious identities. Rivalries were fierce, emotional, and sometimes irrational, but they were rooted in football. Reducing contemporary football culture to a communal contest not only misreads Kerala's sporting history but also risks importing religious polarization into one of the few public spaces that traditionally cut across those divisions. That perhaps is the larger story of this World Cup.